I just want to tell you about a client that I've worked with recently who had a fear of medical procedures. Now, this person had this issue for all of her life since she was a child, couldn't talk about things like injections, needles, blood. All of those words completely freaked her out. So she was due to go in for an operation and was getting quite stressed, less about the operation, strangely, and more about the procedures going forward, so the blood tests and all this. So she came to me, we had one session, and following that, so what I will say here is actually, so she found out about me about 4 days before she was due to go and have this medical procedure, like the pre-op, I think it was. And I spoke to her and I said, well, really, ideally, I would like to do a session with you and then have 21 days where you can listen to an audio which will reaffirm the work we've done. But she didn't have that time. So I said to her, we can try, we can see what we can do and go from there. And she wanted to do it. So she wanted to go ahead. So I squeezed her in to get her a session done a couple of days before the pre-op. So the amazing outcome that she had was that she woke up the next day, she listened to the audio, she went to go for the pre-op and her daughter took her there. On the way there, she was talking about the procedure, absolutely fine, and felt completely calm and relaxed going in for the pre-op. So at some point they needed to take a blood sample and it wasn't going well. I think she was dehydrated, so they couldn't actually find the veins. And so she was told to go away, go and get a drink and come back a bit later. At which point she said, had this happened before she'd had the hypnotherapy, she'd have been completely freaked out and have had to go home. Just wouldn't have been able to deal with even the stress of like them not being able to take the blood properly and there being that kind of like little drama there. Anyway, she went off, she went and had something to eat, she had a drink, she came back. There were still problems. They had to call a doctor to get her the blood taken. So there was still quite a drama going on with that. And she said, I was absolutely fine, absolutely fine. So she went through all that, she came back and she said, normally I would feel really quite anxious and stressed because of what had happened for a couple of days afterwards. And I didn't, I felt fine. So she reported that back to me, which was absolutely amazing, great news. I've had contact with her going forward because the operation is still due to happen. And she has reported back to me that she's gone in for another pre-op. She's absolutely fine. She's completely calm. Now they've told her that she's got to have, after the operation, she's got to self-administer injections. And she said she's absolutely fine with it. And so I just really needed to pass this on because RTT is so powerful. This was a really committed person who listened to the audio. She did the work. She was a fantastic client. And she did really well and she got some really good results from a phobia that she had suffered with for all of her life. And she did it in one session.